wonderful. Thank you, Carol. All right, super. That's wonderful. Thank you, Carol. Okay, Argentina, Carol, we've got 20, 30 people coming in now. Do let us know where you're from in the chat box, please, or the Q&A. Please use the question and answers for any questions that do arise. If you've got anything to ask or share with us, that would be absolutely wonderful. It really and truly would be. So, all right. Okay, Rich, we've hit 5 past. I think let's see how we go. So, good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to wherever you are in the world. As you're well aware, you've all signed up for this incredible opportunity to engage with us as part 1 of positive emotional transition. Positive emotional transition. And so for me, it's very much about, well, firstly, let me introduce myself. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Philip Sykes, and I'm the founder and the principal here at the British School of Etiquette. And I'll be interviewing not only a colleague of mine, but an incredibly close and dear friend of mine, Richard Cullinan. I respect Richard in every way. He's a leading educator. He's an author specializing in emotional intelligence and heads up our EQ faculty here at the British School of Etiquette. Richard's going to share some really key insights for us and how we can transition from a very strong negative to positive emotional state every day. And this webinar is part 1 of 2-part series. And this evening, we'll be discussing how the 2 personal competencies that make up emotional intelligence, namely self-awareness, self-management, can work together to help you make this transition in your life. So, Rich, my first question for you this evening is, what is emotional transitioning?
Thank you so much, Phil. And before I get going, I also want to welcome everybody to tonight's webinar. I'm so excited to see people from all over the world and showing such an interest in your own emotional intelligence and how it impacts your own life and the people around you. It's truly an honor and a privilege to be spending the next hour or so with everybody. So what is emotional transitioning? Emotional transitioning is when we move from a negative to a positive emotional state, or from a positive to negative emotional state. Now, when we are not practicing self-awareness and we are not conscious of this, it almost happens automatically. And the problem with that is you get caught up in a sea of reactions without being able to act intelligently around your emotions. Now, interestingly, out of the 5 core emotions that we all feel, only one of them is positive, and that's happiness. The other 4 are sadness, anger, fear, and shame. With these kind of odds, it's not surprising that a lot of us spend a lot of time experiencing negative emotions. Now, there are many reasons for this, but chief amongst them is not making mindfulness a daily practice or developing and practicing your own emotional intelligence. Now, most emotions are brought on by stimuli we experience through our 5 senses. Basically, what we see, what we hear, those are the 2 main ones. Then, of course, touch, smell, and taste. They are also brought on by our thoughts about our past, about the future, about the present, and about our circumstances. Now, one of my favorite authors, Phil, a guy by the name of Richard Cullinan, wrote in his book, The Power of Now, all negativity is caused by an accumulation of psychological time and denial of the present. Unease, anxiety, tension, stress, worry, and all forms of fear are caused by too much future and not enough presence. Guilt, regret, resentment, grievances, sadness, bitterness, and all forms of non-forgiveness are caused by too much past and not enough presence. I'll just let that sink in for a second. Now, if we think about the world that we live in, which is so judgmental and holds us to unrealistic expectations, when it comes to our career, our financial success, our relationships, the home we live in, even the holidays that we take. We often feel inadequate, and this causes us to experience disillusion with ourselves. It causes anxiety within us, and sometimes even envy. Of course, the way the media portrays an ideal life, and even our friends on social media like Facebook, would make us believe their lives to be, is far from the truth. And we should take note of this before we compare ourselves to other people. Now, to transition every day into a positive emotional state, we need to firstly accept the realities of our life and the emotions that we are feeling. We need to become present and practice acceptance to become truly mindful. There are different ways of doing this. For example, you could take a walk, you could go to gym, you could practice meditation, or you could practice prayer to increase your mindfulness and preparation for the day. For me, it's a daily walk with my wife and my dogs in our local park. And then I enter into prayer to prepare myself for the day. I find the best way to transition from my worries and into a state of happiness is to start off with gratitude and gratefulness. And I know, Phil, you do this as well in your own life. I give thanks for all the important relationships in my life. I give thanks for the work that I do, where I'm able to help people increase and enhance their emotional intelligence every single day. I'm grateful for every little thing that makes up my life and for what is to come too in the future. This clears away the cobwebs and puts me in a positive state of mind. Transitioning into a happy state of mind is a choice, my friends. And when you practice this every day, when you wake up or you go to bed at night, you create the right emotional environment for you to enjoy your journey through life and have the emotional capacity you need to deal with life's challenges, setbacks, and obstacles.
Whew. Wow. I love that, Rich. You're getting me all goosebumped up here. And, ladies and gentlemen, everything that Richard has just shared with you, the one thing that I think for those of you who've connected and engaged with our organization will understand the authenticity and the passion and the vision and the focus and the energy and purpose we have. And everything that Richard has just shared with you, we implement into our lives 150%. It's not to say that we don't have bumps in the road. Obviously we do. We do. But the beautiful thing is, just with what Richard has just shared, and I was writing down some really interesting sort of things there. One of the things that always jumps out at me is gratitude. Absolutely. It can shift your mindset. And the most beautiful thing about everything that Richard just shared with that in that question number one is that it's actually impossible to have a positive and negative thought at the same time. It's impossible. Okay, so bear that in mind. And the other thing I want to share with all of you, and I'd love you to write this word down your page, is the word fear, F-E-A-R. Fear stands for false evidence appearing real. So a lot of what we concern ourselves about in life, actually 75% doesn't actually happen or take place. We worry, we're concerned. It doesn't actually take place, believe it or not. So that's number one. The other interesting thing is that 65 to 75% of our thoughts tend to be negative. It's exactly what Richard was talking about, the anger, the fear, the shame. And happiness, unfortunately, is the only one. It seems to be sort of the poor cousin, but actually you can bring that in and you can boost yourself exponentially. Even if you just need to push yourself to get through X, Y, and Z hours of the day, go back, get into your bed, throw the duvet over your head. It can push you through. So thanks, Rich, for sharing that. That's just unbelievable. So for me, I'd love to ask you another question. What is self-awareness and how can it change our lives? How can it change an individual's life?
Well, of course, it's a very big question, Phil. We could talk about self-awareness literally for hours. And if my audience doesn't mind, it is such a deep question that I've had to dive into the book I'm writing called Leading with Emotional Intelligence, because I want to give you a comprehensive and detailed answer to this question. What is self-awareness, and how can you use your self-awareness to change your life? Now, the beginning of self-awareness is to understand how our response to events and the thoughts that accompany or trigger them, no matter how big or small, stimulate activity in the brain, which results in a physical reaction in our bodies and an expression of emotion, which is mostly unconscious. Now, you may ask yourself, how do I change what is essentially an automatic response? Is it possible? The good news is yes, it can be changed. And this is the reason why emotional intelligence is so important to our success in our lives and at work. It can be learned and developed over time, provided you put in the effort and the commitment and the practice that's required. Emotional intelligence and learning emotional intelligence, and particularly in this instance, self-awareness, is not just an intellectual exercise. As I say to my students, you have to be in it to win it. The limbic brain takes longer to catch up to what you are comprehending in your prefrontal cortex. So you might get the concept, but you need to practice it to give your emotional brain time to absorb and practice what it is that you initially understood. Indeed, those of us who employ a unique blend of feeling and reason tend to achieve far greater results than those who don't. EQ is so critical to success in business, it accounts for 58% of performance in all types of jobs. And it is the single biggest predictor of success in the workplace and in becoming an agile and effective leader. To put this into perspective, in America, studies show that 90% of high performers are high in EQ. 20% of low performers are high in EQ. A key statistic reveals that people high in EQ, on average, earn $29,000 more than people with a medium or low EQ. If that isn't an incentive to invest in your own emotional intelligence, I don't know what is. Now, to change our actions or reactions, we have to change the way we think. We have to change our mindset. Only if we change our mindset can we shift our model of life or paradigm and take the actions we need to get the results we're looking for in our life. Now, I'm not saying you must change your beliefs unless doing so is good for you. I am saying you can change your model of life by the way you respond to other people's beliefs and actions, and become more tolerant of their model of life and their actions, even getting to the point where you understand them without criticism or self-righteous anger. How often do we get frustrated with someone, only to find out later that their house has been repossessed, or they've been diagnosed with a terminal illness? Now, this is self-awareness in action. It's like a hovering consciousness, like a helicopter that's flying around your head, that helps you to determine your responses to people, what they say and do, and to any situation that you encounter through your five senses. The definition of consciousness, which informs our understanding of self-awareness, is the state of being aware of yourself, others, and one's surroundings. It is being aware of one's own perceptions, thoughts, and feelings, and the thoughts and feelings and perceptions of other people. And this is essentially a good description of the state in which a healthy emotional intelligence resides. Now, perception is particularly hard to fathom in ourselves and in others because the emotional mind takes elements that symbolize reality or trigger a memory of it to be the same as that reality. This is why similes and metaphors and images all speak to the emotional mind, as do the arts, novels, films, poetry, theater, opera. Great spiritual leaders like Jesus or Muhammad spoke in parables and stories and connected with people on a deep emotional and spiritual level because our minds as human beings are associative. Freud called this way of thinking the primary process of thought. Loose associations often determine the flow of a narrative or story. One object symbolizes another and can easily displace another. Wholes are condensed into parts where there is no seemingly logical laws of cause and effect. There is no such thing as no in the primary process of thought. Things need not be defined by their objective reality. What matters is how they are perceived. So what something reminds us of can be far more important to the emotional mind than what is, i.e. the facts. In our emotional mind, identities can be like a hologram, where a single part evokes the whole. A picture speaks 1,000 words, and a word speaks 1,000 pictures. Apart from creating from the primary process of thought, which is really instinctive thought, like an artist or business innovator would when they're engaging in creative thinking. Engaging in this thought process is also key to understanding the meaning of artworks and poetry and music created by the greatest creators of our time. So the emotional mind is indeed mysterious, wonderful, and sometimes difficult to fathom. Just like anger and fear are sparked by sights and sounds and thoughts we associate with similar experiences from our past, so are feelings of deep happiness and euphoria by revelation experienced through our associative emotional brain. Self-awareness requires emotional insight and reflection, the ability to identify patterns in our emotional life and in our reactions to those emotions, as well as recognizing and understanding similar patterns in others. Self-awareness requires self-knowledge, the ability to understand yourself from an intellectual level, from a physical level, from an emotional level, and also from a spiritual level. Self-awareness requires constant practice. One has to be conscious. It's our ability to remain conscious of our feelings as they emerge, recognizing our body's response to them. And if we've worked out the source of our triggers and why they spark a reaction in us, proceeding with intelligent understanding of ourselves and of others. Self-awareness is being able to label your feelings, whether they're positive or negative, because they serve a vital purpose in your life. Apart from protecting you in the face of danger, your feelings are a blueprint for your unconscious memories and the source of what I call your emotional why. And it's crucial to understand what your emotional why is. Now, 2/3 of us are not able to label the emotion we're feeling right now. And for that reason, discovering, uncovering, and learning emotional intelligence is so important in your life. Self-awareness requires self-acceptance, the ability to accept yourself, your thoughts, and your circumstances without judging yourself. How often do we judge ourselves? Feel good about yourself and see yourself in a positive light. Recognize your strengths and weaknesses and being able to laugh at yourself. How often do we laugh at ourselves? When we are self-aware, we are more likely to pursue the right opportunities in our life and put our strengths to work. And importantly, manage our emotions and keep them from holding us back from success. And there I said success. Self-awareness is a key component of success. As our self-awareness increases, our satisfaction with life and our purpose increases, and we're able to reach our goals at home and at work. This requires a positive mindset so that we can cope with deep self-reflection, which is required when we reflect on our more intense emotional episodes or experiences, and requires focusing on feelings which may not be enjoyable to think about, but provides key information for improving the way we manage our lives and manage our thoughts and manage our emotions. Self-awareness is a big subject, Phil, and it is the foundational emotional skill. When you have it, it is much easier to manage your emotions, improve your social awareness, and build relationships that last a lifetime. The biggest obstacle to increasing our self-awareness is our tendency to avoid seeing ourselves for who we really are. We are very creative when it comes to changing our thoughts away from difficult emotions or distracting ourselves so we don't have to face the truth. This is temporary, and it doesn't actually work because the same emotions appear again and again from the same trigger, resulting in the same reaction. When we are aware of the source of our emotions and operate on an unconscious level, when we are not aware, of the source of our emotions and operate on an unconscious level, we allow our emotions to dictate our responses and get tossed around in a sea of reactions rather than intelligent responses. The good news, everybody, is that once you've worked out the source of your emotions, which are generally from your past experiences, you are able to rewrite your story and rewire your brain for the person you are now and the person you want to become. If you come on our Leading with Emotional Intelligence program, we will teach you how to do this.
Oh, Rich, that a long explanation, but I know you've you've only just scratched the surface. And for me, there was a lot of very, very poignant, fundamental core information in there that, the golden nuggets that you're sharing are just invaluable. And I really hope that everyone's got a pen and paper making notes. This is something I urge every single person to do whenever they come into an opportunity like this. Rich, I want to ask you, when it comes to self-management, what is self-management? How can it really change your life? Self-giving, putting some flesh on the bone when it comes to self-management, how can it really change your life?
Yeah, again, Phil, it's a big question. We're talking about the two modalities, 2 out of the 4 modalities that make up your emotional intelligence. This evening, we're talking about your personal competencies. So we've covered self-awareness. We're now looking at self-management, and it is a big subject. And it's not just about managing your emotions. It's not just about emotional management. It's also about how you manage your lifestyle so that you can create an environment for yourself to operate in a calm, happy, and intelligent way. For example, if you want to think in an agile way, which is being able to learn quickly and solve problems using both your critical and creative abilities, you need to feed your brain with positive emotions. Negative emotions like anxiety, stress, anger, cynicism, these feelings produce inhibiting chemicals in your brain, which slow down the transmission of messages between brain cells and essentially make you less able to think clearly and solve difficult problems. On the other hand, positive emotions like joy, contentment, happiness help your brain to produce neurotransmitters like dopamine and endorphins and serotonin. And these neurotransmitters speed up the transmission between brain cells, allowing you to learn quickly and solve difficult problems. As I'm talking here, I'm thinking about stress, Phil. Some people, I've heard people say, oh, I need stress in order to succeed. Well, I tell you what, stress creates cortisol in your brain, which is an inhibitor. And in fact, stress makes you dumb. Don't think that stress is going to make you clever. So in your lifestyle, and you have to set up a way that encourages positive emotions. And these things that you address in your lifestyle is, for example, having good sleep hygiene. And I won't go into those details. If you attend our program, of course, we go into the details. Doing regular exercise, eating a healthy diet, and drinking the right liquids. 8 glasses of water a day. It's not a joke. One needs to do that to oxygenate the brain. You'll also more than likely nurture the right attitude and mindset. And Phil, that's what I want to actually focus on tonight in my answer to the question about what is self-management and how can it change your life. Now, attitude is so intricately linked to mindset, they might as well mean the same thing. Your attitude is the way you habitually think about things, and your thinking agility and problem-solving ability is in large part determined by your attitude. A professor of psychology at Stanford University, Dr. Carol Dweck, who spent her entire career studying how attitude impacts performance and success, has found in her latest study that attitude is a better predictor of success than your IQ. Dr. Dweck has found that people's core attitudes fall into one of 2 categories, either a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. With a fixed mindset, you believe you are made the way you are and you cannot change. This causes problems when you're challenged, because anything that appears to be more than you can cope with is bound to make you feel hopeless and overwhelmed. People, on the other hand, with a growth mindset, believe that they can improve their lives with effort. They invariably outperform those with a fixed mindset, even when they have a lower IQ, because they embrace challenges that life throws at them and treat these challenges as learning opportunities. In our minds, it would seem that having an ability like being smart inspires confidence in ourselves and in others. This is true, but only when the going is easy. When the going gets tough and we have to handle new challenges and experience setbacks, people with a growth mindset tend to shine, often welcoming setbacks, again, as learning opportunities with open arms. Now, according to Dr. Dweck, success in life is all about how you deal with failure. She describes the approach to failure with a growth mindset by saying, failure is information. We label it failure, but it's more like, this didn't work, and I'm a problem solver, so I'll try something new. Einstein said, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. In other words, we have to shift our mindset in order to solve new problems. Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or think you can't, either way, you are right. Simply put, a positive mindset produces positive results, and negative mindset produces negative results. Now, as we've discovered, a habitually fixed mindset or constant negative thinking pattern inhibits the effectiveness of the electrical transmissions in the brain. It's a physical, biological fact. It drains your vitality, and it may even weaken your immune system. An optimistic or growth mindset, which is governed by a constructive approach to problem solving, is vital for your success at work and as well as in your relationships. Indeed, a positive attitude ensures brain health and optimum performance in every way. Now, we can tune into a growth mindset by resetting some of our thought patterns. For example, by releasing ourselves from a state of hopelessness and embracing hope as a harbinger of things to come. We all experience moments of helplessness. I'm not saying we don't, But the test is whether we can learn from our situation and move forward, or let us drag us down even further. There are any number of people who would never have made it had they succumbed to the feelings of helplessness and had lost hope. A great example is J.K. Rowling, who wrote the Harry Potter books, the famous Harry Potter books. She was rejected 12 times by publishers before she won a publishing contract and became a worldwide phenomenon. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper called the Kansas City Star because he lacked imagination and had no good ideas. Can you believe it? Oprah Winfrey was fired from her job as a TV anchor in Baltimore for being too emotionally invested in her stories. She just became the most incredible person after that. Meryl Streep did not get the role for the leading lady Dwan in King Kong because she was thought to be not attractive enough. And what did she do? She went on to receive 18 Academy Award nominations and 29 Golden Globe nominations in her acting career. The list goes on, but the lesson never stops. If any of these stars had succumbed to rejection and given up hope, we would have been denied their brilliance and the lasting impact they've made in our lives. People with a growth mindset do not feel helpless because they know in order to succeed, you need to be willing to fail and then bounce back with everything you've got. People with a growth mindset discover why they are alive, and they live their lives on purpose with passion. They are highly attuned to the unique talents and gifts they were given at an early age and invest the time needed to bring these gifts and talents into fruition without being put off by setbacks along the way. Warren Buffett, the famous investor, suggests that to find your truest passions, you should write down 25 things that you care about the most and then cross out the bottom 20. The 5 that remain are your true passions. The rest are merely distractions. People with a growth mindset and a positive attitude also hang out with similar people. People who uplift rather than demean. People who care rather than serve themselves. People who are curious rather than people who know it all. People who are kind rather than people who are inconsiderate. People who are optimistic rather than pessimistic. People who are great problem solvers and not problem avoiders. Einstein said, "Stay away from negative people. They have a problem for every solution." Now, in his book, another one of my favorite books, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, he suggests that to succeed in life, one needs to create a brains trust, a group of people with whom you share a common interest, a common mindset, so that you can tap in to their minds when you need it the most. The key is to hang out with people you admire and in whom you trust, to lift you up when you need it, and who will offer alternative as well as complementary points of view to enrich your own problem-solving abilities and efforts. People with a growth mindset talk in a positive way. They interact with others and seek out the best in people. They focus on developing positive, loving relationships and develop a mindset of caring. You mentioned caring earlier, Phil. Always ready to help others in need. People with a growth mindset, they seek out books and movies and discussions which feed their mind with positive information and positive feelings. They stay clear of people who gossip and gaslighting and negative self-talk, whether it be about someone else or groups of people or about themselves. People with a growth mindset take action. They do not allow their fears to overcome their ability to act. They know that fear and anxiety are paralyzing emotions, and the best way to overcome this paralysis is to do something about it. They're empowered by their own thoughts and self-worth and know there's no such thing as a perfect moment to act. Taking actions turns all our worries and anxieties around into positive, focused energy, which achieves far better results than staying stuck in a world of inaction. Positive people always go the extra mile, even on their worst days. And this is interesting. Bruce Lee once said to one of his pupils, "Quit and you might as well be dead." If you always put limits on what you can do, physically or anything else, it will spread into the rest of your life. It will spread into your work, into your morality, into your entire being. There are no limits. There are plateaus, but you must not stay there. You must go beyond them. If it kills you, it kills you. A man must constantly exceed his level. Positive people also expect results. People who pray with faith and expectation for what they ask for normally get it time and again. Expecting results keeps you motivated and feeds into your self-belief and cycle of empowerment. If you don't expect to succeed, why even try? Expecting results is a self-fulfilling prophecy and a key characteristic of people who live with a growth mindset. Positive people are flexible and adaptable, key emotional intelligence traits. They may encounter unexpected problems, but see these problems as opportunities to reset their mindset and change their actions until they achieve the results they desire. People with a growth mindset don't complain. Complaining is an obvious sign of a fixed mindset and feeds the brain, as we've discussed, with chemical inhibitors that stop the brain from thinking clearly and agilely. The old adage that attitude determines your altitude is as true today as when it was said in the first place. Feeding your mind with positive thoughts and feelings ensure you reach and attain the innate potential you were born with and gives your brain the fuel it needs to achieve maximum capacity, maximum ability, and maximum happiness. Not doing so is such a waste of time, and none of us want to live a life that we will regret in the final years of our lives on the planet. Self-management, everybody, is a lot more than what I've discussed in this short time that I have this evening. Now, if you attend our Leading with Emotional Intelligence program, you will learn, for example, how to deal with anger. You will learn how to deal with anxiety and worry. You will learn how to deal with stress. You will learn how to get your impulses under control. You will learn how to change your negative self-talk into positive self-talk and build an authentic, confident you. Self-management, everybody, is a mindset, and it's a daily habit. The more time you invest in managing your emotions, the greater your return in your life and at work.
Ooh, man, Rich, listening in awe there, almost, I was mesmerized with what you were sharing there. And again, today I've had the most extraordinary day today, as most days tend to be, which is really exciting. But I've had the privilege of working with two wonderful groups this afternoon. We've got a program at the moment, our Etiquette program, which we started on Monday and it finishes tomorrow. So it's 4 45-minute sessions. And we absolutely are introducing and we drip feeding them with this particular sort of information and these details. We get them to do some exercises, and it's amazing how these amazing little brains and minds are starting to trigger and work. And then we went on to our mindset and manners with our teenagers today, and we talked exactly about this today. This mindset thing is so powerful. You know, I get all my students and all the people I come into contact with, I ask them to write down one thing for me in the beginning, and it goes along the following lines: nothing is ever achieved unless truly first imagined. Boom, and there you go. And this is what I'm getting these youngsters to write down. And at the same time, I'm also sharing with them that you are your brand, and be the person that you would like to meet. Start to think along these lines now, and start as you mean to go on. And we get into this fixed and this growth mindset, and we start running through a whole lot of challenges, and we get them to start giving us some amazing answers. So, I mean, I know again, you've just literally scratched the surface there. But gee, there was so much beautiful information coming out of there. Thank you. And, I just want to, I just, one thing I just, for me, everything is about, the proof is in the pudding, as people say. And just recently, I don't know, you've been privy to this, Rich, but I would just love to read to everybody on this program. And I know all of you wonderful people attending. There are some current students on there right now. There are past students who've joined us this evening. I applaud you and I thank you very much for your support and loyalty, and for connecting with the British School of Etiquette and entrusting us to help you take yourself to whatever level you or wherever you want to go. But this is a recent testimony from one of a very dynamic, successful gentleman, married, children, that sort of thing. And he goes on to start this thing, and he says, the 7-week Leading with Emotional Intelligence program proved to be an excellent experience for myself, my family, and my business. Sometimes in life we think, if only I had known that, then I could have handled myself better or made more effective decisions. Well, there is no point in dwelling on that. Authentic, unforced, and expertly coached by Richard Cullinan. The Leading with Emotional Intelligence program, I'm getting emotional here, led me through well-structured exercises and discussions, always supported by thoroughly researched reading materials. A timely nudge to anyone who is curious about extending their capabilities. The program is changing the course of my future in a very sensible way. I salute you, Rich. Beautiful. Well done. And again, this is genuine. This is something that I want to urge every single person out there. We run not many, we run some very select programs in our organization. And I always share with people, if there was one program that you need to take on board in your life right now, and that for me personally is Leading with Emotional Intelligence. And I salute anyone who takes that step, because it is life-changing, and the proof is in a testimonial just like this. And for me, I just want to, again, Rich, thank you for all the energy, effort, and the vision and the focus that you put into what you do.
Thank you so much, Phil. And just to add on to what you've been saying is, it's the exercises. It's the exercises, am I right, that you did with these young people that you did today. That's where it clicks. That's where it changes. And of course, my program is not just about learning material or reading material. It's about these amazing exercises that people do, which are life-changing. And then, of course, the online interactive sessions that I have with my students are truly life-changing. If my audience doesn't mind, I'm going to just share a couple of slides. May I do that, Phil?
Please go ahead, Rich. I think you've got sharing.
Okay. Right, there we
I'll
go.
getting it ready. If anyone's got any questions, please do type them in the Q&A box. There are a few that have already come through, and I'd love to share them with you, Rich, when you have a moment.
Okay. Oops.
Rich, can you go to full screen for me there, please?
Yeah, I'm going to full screen now, Phil.
Thank you. I need IT support with you, Rich.
Beg your pardon?
I need IT support with you.
IT support, yeah. Okay, so folks, I just want to share with you the 2 programs. Well, it's 3 programs actually that we teach people, our students in the EQ faculty at the British School of Etiquette. We have a short course called About Me, which you can see on the screen. It's a wonderful, life-changing short course. It's only a 3-hour session that we hold on Zoom, but you get a booklet of knowledge and you do 3 quizzes where you discover what your dominant personality is, what your dominant type of intelligence is, and what your preferred love language is. It is such a great journey of self-discovery, and it not only helps you to communicate more effectively, but also to understand yourself better so that you can choose tasks and a career going forwards that suit your strengths. The next course I want to talk about, this is part of our Leading with Emotional Intelligence program. The standard online course includes the first 5 modules. It's a 5-week program. Our next cohort starts on the 16th of February. It includes 5 2.5-hour mediated sessions with myself over 5 weeks. The reason why we split it over 5 weeks is because it's actually impossible to learn emotional intelligence in a day or 2 days or even 3 days in a normal workshop. One needs to be able to absorb the information, practice the skills during the week leading up to the next session. And we found that this format works incredibly well. It includes an introduction to emotional intelligence. There's a module on self-awareness, which you've had a taste of this evening. There's a module on self-management, which you've also had a taste of this evening. And then we talk about social awareness, relationship management. So that is the core program, which is accredited by CPD Standards UK. And with your reading and exercises, accounts for 22.5 hours of CPD. Our premium program, which is the standard program plus 2 additional modules, runs over 7 weeks and also starts on the 16th of February. It's 7 2.5-hour mediated sessions with myself. You will receive really comprehensive reading material, 7 booklets of knowledge with 33 life and work enhancing exercises. It's not only accredited by CPD Standards UK, but also by the Institute of Leadership and Management in the UK. The 2 modules that are added onto the standard program are leading a diverse team and leading your team to greatness. So hopefully what you've picked up this evening from me and from Philip will encourage you to book on one of our programs. As I said previously, emotional intelligence is not an intellectual exercise. It is something that you have to practice, and it's something that you need to do rather than just read about. So I look so forward to having some of you on my program and hope that you will take the jump and invest in yourself. It'll be one of the best decisions you ever make.
Super, Rich. Super, super, super. There's some great questions coming in here, Richard. I'd love to share one of the things from Mabel all the way, who is Mabel de Michel. She is an actual teacher in etiquette, and she usually tells her students that if you practice manners, cordiality, and so forth, this habit transforms your interior of your mind so that you can manage your emotions. Is that true? And I know, just to answer that question, Mabel, we've actually, just last year, we did emotional intelligence and manners, a winning formula and a winning combination. And this is 100% true. We here at the British School of Etiquette, 1,000,000% know that the head and the heart are completely connected. And this is why I'm so, and Richard is so passionate about emotional intelligence, because it is so fundamental. It's part of our DNA. We need it in our DNA. That's what my point is. In that, when you've got a good EQ and a strong EQ, it's almost impossible to have bad etiquette and manners. And in my opinion, vice versa. Although that's not wholly true, because you can still have good etiquette and manners, but not necessarily have the best EQ. Sometimes people can put on a show, whereas I think EQ is very grounded and actually, it's about your true colors. So a wonderful, wonderful question. Thank you very much, Mabel. Is there anything that you want to elaborate on that, Rich?
No, I think you covered it really nicely, Phil. And I would encourage Mabel to go onto our YouTube TV channel, where you can watch the webinar that Phil and I did on emotional intelligence and etiquette. I have written a chapter of a book that Philip and a partner of his in the United States is coming out with towards the end of the year on emotional intelligence and etiquette.
In 2 weeks, Rich, we're going to launch the book.
2 weeks, 2 weeks. Okay, that's fantastic. Man. Yeah. So you've handled it. Thanks, Phil.
Thank you. And again, okay, so again, ladies and gentlemen, I have to introduce this amazing woman to you, Solia Monadina. Came on our Train the Trainer program almost, I think it's almost 3 years ago. I've watched this amazing woman, mum, wife, grow in every way. She's just wonderful, runs a beautiful operation of her own within the realms of etiquette. She is now on the Leading with Emotional Intelligence course. Sonia is growing in every way. And I know Sonia's had some very challenging moments where, you know, we've had conversations and giving her the encouragement and the support to really, you know, put that behind her and just to keep moving forward. And that's exactly what Sonia's doing. So, Richard, are there any clues about whether someone is emotionally intelligent? Any sort of signs to look out for as we embark on personal and professional relationships with others, people, and to understand them? I love that question.
Wonderful question. Thank you, Sonia. And it's lovely to have you on the webinar this evening. I also just want to make a quick shout out to Stephen. I saw your question. It's great to have you with us this evening, Steve. And also Anna Boleyn, thank you so much for that wonderful comment. Anna Boleyn was on our first cohort that last year when we started this program. So to answer your question, you know, when you meet somebody for the first time and they just start talking about themselves and they talk over you and they are not asking questions and listening actively to what you've got to say, that is a clear indication that they have low EQ or undeveloped emotional intelligence. So that's a clue. And I think there are many clues, Phil, but that would be the key one for me, is when somebody puts themselves forward, makes themselves more important than other people around them or the people that they're initially meeting, and they talk over them, that would be a sign of low EQ. We teach on the program how to engage in a conversation by being empathetic. And by being empathetic, one would ask leading and open-ended questions which would encourage the other person to talk about themselves, to talk about their thoughts and their feelings. And that way you can develop positive relationships.
Absolutely. Lovely answer. And again, just to elaborate what Richard is saying, we talked about the sort of social awareness and your general awareness. You know, we cover or we bring a topic into play here, which is, again, I'm going to use the word situational awareness. So again, this is exactly what Richard's just, I'm reiterating, or Richard is absolutely complimenting what I'm sharing with you now, is that look out for these sort of signs, signals of people. Give them space, give them an opportunity to prove themselves. As we teach here at the organization, never judge somebody because we never know what they're going through. Give them a little bit of space to move and maneuver. But unfortunately, if it gets to a situation or gets a little bit sort of monotonous with their interruptions and them not being situationally aware of what's going on around them, it's all about me, then you're going to know and feel that actually their EQ unfortunately needs a lot of work and development. So what a lovely, and we can stretch that one out. There's a lot of answers to that. Again, Anna Boleyn, Tak, obrigado. Thank you so much for, you know, sharing your feedback and inputs. You know, that you felt that it was truly a path to meet oneself and understand others and really make a difference in your life. I know what it's done for you. And again, Anna Boleyn started her journey with us on the Polished Professional, which we then obviously encouraged Anna Boleyn. And again, this is what's so wonderful. When you understand the value of people guiding you and steering you in life, you know, I don't know, I've got a book here in front of me. I spend a huge amount of, I invest in myself a lot. I carry a coaching book wherever I go, but I get coached a lot, and these are my notes. And I really dip in and out of this on a regular basis because I want to keep growing and keep learning, and I understand the value of investing in oneself. So that really is fundamental. You know, again, I'd love to go into. I love Stephen's question. Always thought-provoking, Stephen. You know,
yeah, that one.
Oh, here we go. So if there were 3 takeaways to think about, what would they be? 3 takeaways to think about.
3 takeaways. Well, I guess, You know, the three takeaways would have to be from my own personal life, Phil. As you know, I embarked on the journey of studying, researching, and implementing emotional intelligence in my life 2.5 years ago because I was experiencing relationship problems and I was struggling with a condition that I have, which is ADHD, where you know, I had problems with impulse control. I had problems with anger issues. And I also suffered from heightened levels of anxiety. And I would say the three biggest takeaways for me from developing this program, implementing this program in my life, and being privileged enough to share and teach this program to some wonderful people that have come through the British School of Etiquette. I would say developing empathy, stepping back and thinking about what the other person is thinking about, feeling about, and going through. And that is consciousness. That is self-awareness. So, you know, really developing empathy. I would say, Stephen, that's one of the biggest takeaways for me. Another couple of takeaways. Stephen's put me on the spot here, Phil.
Well, I'd love to know, actually, I'd love to elaborate there, and I'd love to share, for me, I think to everyone out there, in such a wonderful, provoking sort of, you know, get the brain thinking about this. I think in very simple terms, for me, it's about, if you want to grow personally, if you want to step out of your own way in life, that is number one. That is a huge, I mean, EQ, that's what's going to happen. You're going to step out of your own way. You're going to move forward 100%. And that's personal, beautiful development. The second thing that I want to share with you is you're going to grow your business exponentially. You're going to go boom. And the third thing, and this is not in any particular order. Well, the first order is growing you first. Your business, your relationships. I cannot tell you enough, and I cannot share enough with you. I wish that I had gone on this EQ journey many, many, many years ago. I don't go around burning bridges. I don't believe in burning bridges. But oh my hats, I tell you, I would have saved a few sort of relationships along the way, or not ruffled the feathers potentially, or vice versa, whatever it is. But those for me are the three real fundamental areas. The benefit and the value you get from focusing and studying on EQ and developing yourself, the benefits are exponential.
Philly, I just want to come in there. There's another thing, Stephen, that I'd like to say has kind of changed me quite a lot. And it links into the question that our dear friend Maria Campos, and you're so welcome. It's lovely to have you with us this evening, Maria. How do you overcome shyness through EQ? And the answer that I'm going to give to Maria is one of the big takeaways that I've learned in developing my own emotional intelligence. And that is the ability to ask questions. You know, when you are shy and you don't know what to say, ask a question. Allow the other person to take the opportunity to talk. You will feel less shy. You will feel less under pressure by asking questions and allow the other person to lead. And then, of course, you know, to answer Stephen's question, asking questions about your life. Ask questions about why you acted like that, why you reacted like that, why you did that. Reflection is such an important aspect of emotional intelligence. Constantly ask yourself the question, why did I feel that, do that, respond like that? Why did that person respond to me like that? And you start making this a conscious effort to improve the way you communicate with others. The third one, I'll probably come up with that in a minute.
And again, this is, I really use this with huge passion and energy. It's the power of EQ, the power of etiquette and manners. You are equipping yourself with an armor. And Maria, an interesting question from you. We recently finished the Polished Professional last week. And a wonderful gentleman from the USA was on board, and he's recently got engaged. And he shared with us on the group that his wife-to-be is an incredibly shy person, and she developed her etiquette and manners, which has circumvented her shyness, because she knows it's that savoir-faire, it's the knowledge, it's the know-how, it's knowing what to do in any given situation. You might have the butterflies breakdancing in your stomach, but at the end of the day, because you know which foot to put forward, boom, that's going to absolutely raise you to your A game, giving you that opportunity to break into conversation, get those questions going, listen with, when people speak to me, listen to understand. We can connect, engage with them. This is going back to exactly what Sonia's question led to. See how people interact and react with you. This is something very, very powerful.
One top class, Phil. Love that.
And Sonia's just shared, I don't know if everyone saw this on the chat, but Sonia's just read a very interesting book called Surrounded by Idiots: The 4 Types of Human Behavior, or How to Understand Those Who Cannot Be Understood. It's a paperback by Thomas Erickson, who's the author. So again, thank you for sharing. And this is what life's about, everybody. Everything is about, we grow as individuals, we invest in ourselves. We can therefore go out and do so much for other people. It's about living, it's about learning, it's about inspiring, and it's about changing people's lives. This is what this is about. Yeah, 100%. So I know.
And the other thing, sorry, Phil, the third thing, because Mr. Wonder, I must give him all the answers. The other thing is being able to handle criticism. Being able to handle criticism. That's the other big thing that I've learned to do. Most of us struggle when we get criticized because we think that we're being demeaned. But the truth is, criticism is a gift, and it's an opportunity to learn what other people think, and to even possibly embrace their way so that you can make your way better. And criticism can cause such division and problems in relationships. And when you as an individual start changing your mind about how you receive criticism and feedback, everything changes.
And it's so lovely to see Etienne, all the way from Africa, who's just written the most beautiful book on etiquette and manners. And I had the privilege of doing the forward. So thank you for joining us this evening. It's just wonderful, wonderful to see you. Stephen, thank you. Stephen's jumping off. Everybody, yes, we've gone 7 minutes over the hour. Please do feel free to connect with us, engage with us. Richard and I, we offer our time freely. If you want to have a conversation with one of us, just let us know. Jump on a Zoom call, a WhatsApp call, a telephone call, and we will guide you and steer you as best as we can. So, British School of Etiquette, on behalf of my wonderful dear friend Richard, I thank you all for your undivided attention, for your beautiful questions, and for connecting with us again in this month of January of 2021. So thank you. Watch the space on the website. There are going to be some phenomenal webinars coming up. We're launching a podcast called Richie's 1 Minute EQ Session. So again, you can hook up put you on the spot there, young man.
It's actually Richie's EI Minute, Bro.
Sorry, what did I say?
I'm not sure.
Okay, but it's Richard's EI Minute that's going to be on the podcast. We really want to offer as much value for everybody out there that we can possibly do so. So please keep connected with all of us, and we look forward to seeing you very, very soon. So thank you so much. Thank you, Rich.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Phil.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Take care.